All right, everybody, we are live. The UFC London post-fight show here on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck. We get the whole crew here. We get Jed Mashu, we get AK Lee, and the man we're going to get to first and foremost because he is in London right now. He's backstage dealing with the ambiance, and he looks like he's frozen right now. So maybe we'll get to Jose. So Jose is there, and I swear to God, like 2 seconds ago, it looked perfect. Oh, he's moving around. He's moving around.
Yeah,
so
you're back. I don't think I was frozen. I think I was sitting really still.
I mean, that's tremendous stuff.
It's also very loud back here, so I muted my microphone. So because there's so many people screaming, so maybe that's what happened. Trying to be polite.
This is a hell of a card, Jose. We'll get your thoughts on it because I know you don't have a ton of time to spend with us. It was capped off by a tremendous performance from Tom Aspinall. Ice cold, so ice cold that it's kind of frozen you in place where you sit right now once again. So we can hear you okay. Your thoughts on Tom Aspinall's performance, just this card as a whole, because this was something special for the London crowd.
Yeah, it was absolutely electric all night. I mean, from the first fight of the night to the last fight of the night, it was electric. And I tweeted this out. Tom Aspinall is a rock star. Everything about him this week, the fans were just buzzing about him. I saw him get asked for about 1,000 pictures around the fighter hotel. He had a massive pop when he walked out. He had the second biggest pop of the night, or third biggest, I should say. Paddy and Molly obviously got a big ovation, but Tom Aspinall is a rock star, and that dude is ice cold. And from here on out, I said this at the press on our preview show, it's main events only. It's either main events on fight nights and nothing else, or until he fights for the title. So the UFC has a bright prospect in the heavyweight division. Did
you like the call out of Tai Tuivasa? I mean,
I loved
those two can make some magic together. You liked it?
I liked it. I know Aspinall. I've talked to him off like not impressed by myself, but like out of like various other, as they break down the table in front of me, as the various other outside fighter hotels and stuff. He says, I don't think they're gonna ever match me and Dawkins up until we're both like number 1, number 2 contenders because we're so young in this division. We're the brightest prospect. But now Dawkins is lost. Ty has kind of taken that spot as like the future young contender, and Aspinall has kept winning. Now they're there. Now's the time to do it. Either make that a number 1 contender fight in a main event here in the UK, because Dana White did say he's coming to the UK. I would imagine he also said the UFC is going to go to France in 2022. Cyril Gane is going to be fighting for the interim title on that main event, or France or whoever. But if it's Cyril Gane versus the winner of Tai Tuivasa versus Tom Aspinall, I mean, come on. That's about as good as you can get. So sign me up for all that scenario.
Of course, AK and I will talk about matchmaking ideas on to the next one. I do want to ask you about Arnold Allen, Jose. We'll talk in-depthly about this card, the other three of us. But Arnold Allen, we've been waiting, okay? We even titled on our podcast for the preview show, Tom Aspinall and Arnold Allen have the chance to have star-making performances. Aspinall, check. Safe to say Arnold Allen, check plus with the way he performed tonight, because the way he competed tonight, the way this fight began, I was like, this is probably not the style he wants to go to. But the man comes through and got it done. Your thoughts on Arnold Allen's performance and the reaction he got and the ceiling he has in this division?
Yeah, apologize if I say frozen for a second. They're literally taking the internet away, so I'm having to like MacGyver a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, Arnold, go watch the preview show. Remember my prediction for that fight?
I do.
Man, was I wrong. Like, Arnold Allen just made me eat a fistful of crow. Like, my God. I said Dan Hooker was going to be one-way traffic, and Arnold Allen just beat the soul out of him. I spoke with Dan Hooker outside the fighter hotel, and he's like, the only way Arnold Allen's going to beat me is if it's a brawl. And he doesn't want to get into a brawl with me. And I was like, yeah, that's probably true. And then, man, I'm stupid. I'm silly. So Arnold Allen is a bad dude. Wants Calvin Kattar, inject that fight right into my body for a top 5 fight. Arnold Allen's probably going to be, I don't know what he is in our ranking, but I know in the UFC ranking, I think he was 8 or 7, and I think Josh Emmett is right above him, and Calvin Kattar was above him. I love Josh Emmett. He's a great guy. But give me Arnold Allen versus Calvin Kattar all day. Obviously, Calvin Kattar's manager seems to be on board. They were booked at one point before, so yeah, inject that fight into my body too. But yeah, he was also like, he was a rock star. He also said, like, they're not going to push me because my accent isn't out of control like Darren Till, Conor McGregor, Paddy Pimblett. So he is hyper self-aware of being a British fighter. And I love it. He's great, and he has an awesome personality.
And then last thing before we let you go, let's talk about the UFC European mixed tag team champions, Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann. Those two tremendous performances. They come through. They got the crowd absolutely bananas. Paddy Pimblett did what he was supposed to do. And then Molly McCann delivered probably the knockout of the year in 2022 so far. So just the atmosphere, the ambiance, all of it, their performances. Give your perspective on that.
Oh, I mean, Molly got obviously a massive standing ovation when she came out. She was probably the second biggest star pre-fight outside of Paddy Pimblett. Yes, Tom was the main event, but something about Molly and just her bravado and her accent and everything she says, like the English crowd just connects with her on like a spiritual level. It's very hard to describe. I loved Molly as a fighter. I didn't think she was going to do that. She's not really known for just, I don't know, send someone into the netherworld with an elbow. So Dana White said it himself. He asked me point blank, what was the knockout of the night? I'm like, what was Molly McCann? That's knockout of the year. Ilia Topuria had the knockout of the year for about 30 minutes until Molly McCann threw a spinning back elbow. And Dana White was like, really? And then he literally went down the line in the media room and was like, what performance of the night? What's performance of the night? What's performance of the night? And everyone said Molly. And he was like, I thought you'd all say Arnold Allen. We're like, no, man, Molly McCann made a human being die on national television. Not really, but when Priscilla was like taken in the back, it looked like she didn't know where she was. It was genuinely scary seeing her leave because she was on her feet. She was not mentally in the O2 in London. That's one of those knockouts that I was genuinely scared for her opponent. So, yeah, Molly was a rock star. And what can you say about Paddy? The man puts his head down and walks into punches, got clipped once, and still won. Don't think he can do that in the top 15. I know he doesn't want to fight Ilia. He doesn't want to fight Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria really wants to fight him. Obviously, I wouldn't say no to that fight, but I have a feeling that fight won't get made because, like I always say, the UFC never book fights that make sense. I would, like I said on the previous show, I would really give Paddy Pimblett a fight like not this fight specifically, but like a fight of like the winner of Cowboy versus Mokaev, like a legitimate veteran that's not going to be fighting for the belt anytime soon that he could actually beat. I think Paddy versus someone of that caliber is the way to go. Like get him, maybe not in the main. If they go to like Liverpool or Manchester and anything on fight night, Paddy could headline, Tom could headline. From here on out, Tom is the guy. Paddy Pimblett is a rock star. And according to our social and Twitter numbers that me and Eric are seeing, it's right in like the early days of Conor. The man is a rock star.
Jose, well done out there, my man. Go get some sleep. Try to get back on the old time frame that you're used to. Get rid of that jet lag, and we'll speak soon, my man.
I will not. I solid 2-3 hours sleep a night. I do not recommend it unless we get fight nights like this again. I will take 2 hours sleep a night for an entire week. You can promise me that. Tonight was top 5 events I have ever covered live. See you guys.
Thanks, man. There he is. Jose Youngs. Well done traveling the globe for MMAfighting.com. So there you go. We got sorry about the Wi-Fi. I don't know what it is about the London Wi-Fi and trying to stream here. It's just
taking it away from him. So
yeah, I mean they basically stole his internet, and MacGyver Youngs just made it happen. So Jed Meshew, AK Lee, sticking around. Listen, I'm seeing it all over the place. So let's try to answer this. The Casey Leiden fight. Everyone wants to know what's happening with Casey Leiden fight.
Yes.
So
the answer is I don't know. From what we understand, the promotion, which is Celtic Gladiator or Celtic Gladiator, CELTIC_Gladiator on Instagram, they're going to stream the fight live on Instagram when it happens. The question is, when is it going to happen? I don't know. We don't know. Casey is, I believe, to compare it to the UFC, he's the featured prelim, okay? He's the last amateur fight before they go to the pro fights. He's the featured prelim bout. I think he's the 6th fight of the card. We are supposedly going to get an update before this fight happens, that it's going to be live. And if it happens during this show, let's just say in the next 10 minutes that this fight happens, we're going to pick up the damn phone and we're going to watch the fight, and we're probably going to do some play-by-play live here on the post-fight show, okay?
Yes.
So if you can't watch it, If you can't watch it, if you don't have Instagram, if you don't have any ways to watch it, we will walk you through it. Okay.
Yeah. Podcast
We'll
listeners, we will guide you. We'll try to guide you. Our pal Mark Raimondi is on site with Casey and his team. He's also been saying he's going to possibly stream. So guys, Celtic _ Gladiator on Instagram, as Mike said, and Mark Raimondi on Twitter. Keep track of both of those. So someone's going to have some sort of live stream. And we're gonna see the man himself make the walk to the cage. It's unbelievable. It's still unbelievable. And anyone, please check out Casey's message if you have time. Casey, the last thing he tweeted was just sort of a thank you to everyone. So I will pass that along to everyone who I know who is watching. So many positive messages that I know he's seen them. We've seen them. People just asking, when's the fight going to happen? When's the fight going to happen? And watching the video on MMAfighting.com and all the documentation they've been doing. It's such a cool moment. So yeah, I'll just pass on that thanks from Casey to everyone, everyone who follows MMA Fighting. Really, really great to see that so much positivity. And yes, we're all wishing him luck, whatever happens tonight.
Yeah, we're not gonna stay on here for 2 hours or anything like that. But if it happens while the show is going on, we're gonna roll with it and make it happen. So let's try to focus on UFC London, and then
there's a poll.
We have to change gears. Let's change gears. AK,
there's a poll.
No freaking way. There was no poll on the. I have to say, AK, there was no poll during the People's pre-fight show, and people were sad.
It's not that hard to do, guys. It's not that hard to do.
In this setup, it's kind of tough.
Oh, I'm not trying to step on your corner, AK. Like
that's your thing.
Listen. My polls, other guys' polls. I'm a fan of all of them. All right, I got no problem with it. But yes, while Jose was doing his part, I did slip a poll in there while nobody was looking. I'm known to do that from time to time. So it is. How would you rate UFC London? 10 right now. 10 is leading the way at 69%. Huge lead. 7 to 9, 28%. Probably closer to 9 than 7, I would imagine. I bet most people are picking this as a 9 or 10 card. It was just fantastic. And the other scores are barely registering, 2% and 2% for the other two lower scores. So a lot of positivity, as Jose was saying. One of the 5 best cards he's ever been to in person. Probably one of the best international fight nights I think any of us has ever watched. I don't think that's a stretch.
Best card of the year, Judd? This has to be, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I rarely am like, oh, I wish I was at this event. Like, I really like to go to fights, but it can be tiring. Like, that's a really long time to be on site and working. I distinctly had that feeling about halfway through this card. Like, right after the Topuria McCann, like 1-2, I was like, man, I am jealous of Jose right now, because that place has to be absolutely buzzing. And yeah, I suspect that because on TV it was best card of the year, I suspect in person that would have been right at the top of my favorite events I've ever been to.
Well, the crowd was ruckus when Tom Aspinall went out there and just rolled Alexander Volkov, Jed Meshew. That fight was not competitive for even a second. When Volkov made the walk and he had that sort of psychotic focused look on his face, I thought to myself for mere seconds, this guy's ready to go. Like, we could be in for a banger here. This guy's ready. And then Tom Aspinall landed that first takedown and started beating him up, and he stood up and he was cut on the top of his head. You saw the demeanor of Alexander Volkov change for the rest of the fight. That look was completely off of his face. He realized right then and then, this is a different dude that I'm in here with. This is a bad dude in Tom Aspinall. And Tom goes out there, takes him down again, finishes the fight shortly thereafter. Tom Aspinall is a problem, is he not?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like, we talked a lot. I thought Aspinall was going to win this fight. I don't know of a single person outside of like hardcore British people who are just like all in look like that. Because like the thing that impressed me the most, I knew he'd have a speed advantage. He had more speed advantage than I even thought, and he tuned Volkov up on the feet a little bit, but his ground and pound was absolutely vicious. And that's not saying that he hasn't shown that he has got a very good top game. He obviously has before, but like Curtis Blades didn't do that to Volkov, and Curtis Blades is a much better wrestler than Tom Aspinall and like a pretty ferocious hitter in his own right. And he spent a lot of that time, holding Volkov down while Volkov kept trying to get back up. But Aspinall got on top of him and went to work like that. I don't know if it's here or somewhere else, we're going to have to start having some conversations about how y'all need to get on the Jed Meshew style of ranking things, because I had Aspinall way higher than everybody else, and I'm feeling great about that right now, because like this dude, I think he's even higher than I had him. I had him ranked, I think 7, maybe 6 in my heavyweight rankings. He's higher than that. Like, I now believe that he could actually win a UFC title during his tenure, which I thought he would challenge for one before, but not win. I think winning a belt is now a very real possibility for this man.
Hell of a performance, AK, from Tom Aspinall. We already have our on to the next one suggestions just flying in. He calls out Tai Tuivasa. Calls out sort of a guy who's become very popular. He's become a very big name in this heavyweight division. Your thoughts on Aspinall's performance? Did it kind of get him over that hump into being sort of in that star conversation? Do we feel excited about him and just the call out in general? How would you rank his night? How would you grade his night overall?
Man, I mean, I messaged you, Mike. I said, we have to start calling this guy the gentleman heavyweight. I know we're in North America. We think everyone with a British accent is like super classy and super intelligent. I understand. I know I'm just being ignorant, but like he has such a calmness about him, and he's so easygoing with the media. Like, some people are easygoing and boring. Like, you have some people who like they're easygoing, but they give like really short answers. He's like feels like super laid back, but he's also giving these like really thoughtful responses. And this is going back to like the media day earlier this week. So I'm saying like, so his performance before fight night, I thought was excellent. As like, this is what you want if you're the UFC. This is what you want a headliner to be like. Yeah, he could talk a little more trash, I guess, but as far as like his ability to handle the media and answer questions, like, man, he's just so eloquent and so it says all the right things, especially about like, oh, I'm not looking back. I don't. You know, we in the media, we're trying to get bait. We're trying to goad him into the usual stuff, like call somebody out, you know, but even before you're done, what are you gonna do after Volkov and how quickly are you going to finish Volkov? And it's like, he just doesn't bite on that stuff, unfortunately for us. But as a fan, I think I would hope people find his act kind of refreshing. And then he goes in and most importantly, then he goes in and performs. He didn't. Now, I had said in my prediction that like the mixing of the martial arts, as much as I disdain it, would be key to him getting a win here. I thought it would go to a decision, which is, I know most people was like unlikely. They said it's got to end in the first 3 rounds of heavyweights, which I understand. But I thought he'd get to like mix it up a lot, mix in takedowns, and just put on a convincing win that way against Volkov. I didn't expect him to mix the martial arts and just completely wipe him out. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Jed mentioned the ground and pound. We know he can strike. He said afterwards in the post-fight press conference, like, damn, I wish I know I still didn't get to show up my arsenal. Like, I wish I had. But also, I prefer it this way too. He's like, I want to be the biggest mystery at heavyweight. So like, if it's just first round finishes for the rest of his career, he's like, and people never get to see my whole arsenal. He's like, great, that's great. I want to show more. If I don't get to, it means I'm winning fights, right? So, this was such a. And people have to remember, he wasn't originally going to be the headliner, if I'm not mistaken, right? He was going to fight Shamil Abdurakhimov. Probably on the main card, but not in the heavyweight, not in the headliner. So he got this main event spot, and it went so well for him, so well for the UFC. Not so great for Alexander Volkov, but I'm kind of with Jed. I'm not saying I agree with his ranking system, but he was very high on Aspinall going into this. And Aspinall, I just want to ask Jed, did you have him ranked higher than Tuivasa? And if not, will he be ranked higher than Tuivasa next time?
I didn't, strictly because like I made an exception out of my general rules for Tuivasa just because the win. It was hard for me to figure out where to put him because I wanted to put Blades over Tuivasa still and just kind of couldn't. So I had him right beneath that little core section. In fact, I think I had him one spot in front of Alexander Volkov. So that's looking like roses right now. He might get a bump because he probably will get a bump because that was awesome. Tom Aspinall crushing it.
Great performance. Star-making type of night for Tom Aspinall. Another guy.
I'm not even on the gentleman nickname, though. We got to come up with something better.
Oh, what, like Bobby Knuckles? Ugh.
Bobby Knuckles is an incredible organic nickname.
Yeah, that's a whole other debate. The media, it's not organic. The media has been shoving it down Robert Whittaker's throat for so long, and he finally said, fine, I guess I'm Bobby Knuckles.
That's the definition of organic. It's what people nickname.
Nothing we do is organic.
Not a nickname he chose because he thought the Reaper sounded cool whatever.
I like
most fight nicknames are not organic. That one, Hick Diaz, is an organic.
That is good. I'm not going to hate on Hick Diaz.
Hick Diaz is one of the greatest nicknames ever been in sports. So.
Well, the Reaper, I call him the Reaper.
Yes. I mean, I kind of like the gentleman aspect. And if you ever fought Cyril Gahn,
Oh.
the way you promote that fight is instead of doing like media days, you sit them both in a room. They're
You already
both wearing
have a nice-
smokers
a nice
jackets.
Have a look. Have a little cuppa.
Fireplace is going. They're
Have a
sharing.
cuppa.
They're having
A cuppa,
cups
or-
of cocoa,
Yeah.
and they're doing a little face-to-face interview. Maybe playing some cribbage or something like that. That's just amazing television.
He said he saw Cyril Gahn during fight week, I think, and he said he was like he wants to hang out with Cyril Gahn. He said that's a handsome man. He said Cyril Gahn is very handsome, and I'm like, that'd be a handsome matchup. The handsome heavyweight matchup. We got to make this happen.
I don't particularly think Tom Aspinall is all that.
No,
handsome,
I
but-
think so.
I don't think he's an ugly dude, but I don't. Not my cup of tea, I guess.
Your cuppa, not your cuppa, not your cuppa.
Not my cuppa.
Shout out to Dana for all the bonuses, which kind of
Do
leads
that every
because
time.
Yeah,
yes,
just make that a regular
Tom
thing now.
Aspinall was one of 9 bonuses. 9 bonuses. Anyone who got a finish got a bonus tonight, which you kind of feel bad for Jack Shore and Timur Valiev, who had an incredible fight.
Yeah,
Absolute incredible fight. No bonus money for those guys. I mean, come on.
The thing is, I don't think they would have won fight of the night. Like, as good as that fight was, if they had done traditional bonuses, like, is that your fight of the night? I think I'd give it to Arnold Allen and Dan Hooker for that 2 minutes of chaos. That was awesome.
That was awesome. That was
It
awesome.
Unbelievable 2 minutes. That's my fight of the night. I don't care.
All right. Well, let's talk about that fight. Arnold Allen, coming out party. We've been waiting for this. 8 wins in a row heading into the fight. He had some finishes early on, had dominant wins along the way, some fun performances, very technical. Like I said, he was like the Tim Duncan of the featherweight division for a while, just very serviceable, workmanlike, gets the job done, gets his hand raised, moving up the ladder, but kind of slowly. But we were waiting for this moment to come out against a high rank, a name, someone people know, tough guy, and just get a big finish. And that's exactly what he did tonight. So, Jed, your thoughts on AAA, the job he did in the co-main event. What a performance.
This was what he needed. He needed this to break out of the Leon Edwards zone. Tim Duncan is a fine comparison. I've been going featherweight Rory McDonald because I feel like there's a lot of overlap in their styles of fighting. And people forget that Rory McDonald had like a really big portion of his career where he just won sort of tepid decisions and people weren't stoked on him, even though he was the next GSP. And so I think he kind of put all that to bed. Like this was the highlight. We talked about it. I don't remember where we talked about it sometime this week on him he doesn't have a highlight that sticks out. That's like, oh yeah, this is the thing to point to. He got it now, baby. Like that was in spades. He came and put the boots to Dan Hooker in the most exciting 2 minutes and 30 seconds of fighting you're going to ever watch. And this is it. Give him, I echo everything Jose said. Him and Calvin Kattar, just hook it up right here, baby. Let's go. Straight shot in.
Yeah. I mean, AK, you've been listening. I mean, you're the co-host of On to the Next One. Mike checks, Mike drops on the show. Been telling you guys for months the UFC has been trying to put together Arnold Allen versus Calvin Kattar. Talked about main event in October, main event November, main event December, even main event January. They were trying very hard to put those guys into a 5-round main event, but Arnold Allen the hand injury just wasn't cooperating. That's why he was out for so long. Hurt his hand, trying to get cleared. It just took a long time. Kattar got Chikadze, and now Allen gets Dan Hooker. This kind of worked out pretty damn well for Arnold Allen because he got to do it in England. He got the big, huge star-making pop from the crowd, and he gets that finish. So I think although 11 months is a long time to see this guy fight, and we hope he's a little more active moving forward, this worked out pretty damn good for both guys, right? Kattar gets the big win, and then Arnold Allen comes out and gets a big win like that. This actually worked out great.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the next logical matchup. It's a great fight. Wherever it lands this year, it's a great fight. We need to see it. It's crazy, and this is gonna be the story of most of the card, including the main event. How like all this stuff that we said needs to happen for certain fighters at this event kind of happened. Arnold Allen was the biggest one. Arnold Allen was like, man, this guy's 8-0. He's pretty good with the media. He wasn't so great earlier this week. He seemed a little sedated, not down, just like sedated. And then but we said he needs a marquee name. And I think Dan Hooker certainly fits that bill. He's been on a lot of high-profile lightweight contests. Very, very well-liked fighter by the fans and the media. There you go. So that was the big name. He needs a signature moment. You know, I think he has like one or two finishes in the UFC, and hadn't finished someone in so long. First round knockout in a scrap with Hooker, fantastic. The only thing that he needs now is to stay busy. Which again, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like we said, if he gets a Kattar fight later this year, even 2 fights in a year for him would be really good, because this was, sorry guys, I have my notes, his first fight since last April. Before that, he hadn't fought since January 2020. And if you look at his record, it's like 1 fight a year tops. I think there might have been one in the last like 5 or 6 years. There's maybe 1 year where he fought twice. So that's the next question that needs to be answered. But like you guys said, if everything falls correctly, him and Calvin Kattar in a high profile fight somewhere later this year, and that's it. And if he gets that win, we're talking 10-0 in the UFC. So 9-0 now, 9 straight. He is tied with the champ Volkanovski for the longest active streak at featherweight, including one catchweight bout that Volkanovski had when his I think it was either his opponent missed weight or it was a planned catch weight. But depending on how you want to say it, it's either they're tied at 9, or if you're just counting featherweight bouts, then Arnold Allen has the longest UFC win streak right now with 9 straight. So pretty good is what I'm saying. Pretty good.
Another man y'all are sleeping on in those rankings. This is a big weekend for the Jed Meshew ranking system. Just saying. I got Allen at 7. Mike, I think you got him at like 10.
I'm still waiting for Charles Oliveira to be number 1 in your rankings. I'm still waiting for that. That wasn't a big weekend for you when he smoked Dustin Poirier. I'll tell you that.
He adjusted by 1 spot. Good for him.
He should have been number 1.
Still hasn't beat Islam or Gaethje. I need to see either of those wins.
They haven't beaten him. Anyway, that's a whole other debate. This was a big weekend for the Jed rankings, but let's be realistic here, Jed. Let's wait for, let's see the weeks that aren't so great. I want to see you bring those up when they're not great for the Jed rankings.
I'm just saying, I happen to have Arnold Allen 1 spot above Calvin Kattar. And when those 2 fight, it's going to be a banger. And Arnold Allen will be fighting for the title after he beats Calvin Kattar later this summer.
Oh my goodness. That's a call.
10 wins in a row in the division.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nobody else up for him. He beats Kattar. I think he's a lock for a title shot at that point.
All right. What about Dan Hooker, Jed Meshew? This is a guy who, going into Michael Chandler's debut, right? Michael goes in, fights Michael Chandler, does a great job at the press conference, looked like a star. And then everyone actually thought it was a really good matchup for him against Michael Chandler. And then Chandler knocks him out. And from there, it's just been a rough go for the Hangman. Now he's at a new division, gets stopped in the first round. Now what? Now what do we do?
So remember when before we were talking and you were very confident that no matter what happened, Dan Hooker was probably not going to lose a lot of stock here. And I'm not so sure about that. I got a lot of questions about Dan Hooker and his future. And I felt that was possible. I want to be extremely clear. Did not think Arnold Allen was going to run through Dan Hooker like this. But I thought even a loss still is really tough. Hooker hasn't lost 4 or 5. He ostensibly makes this drop to a new weight class because this is where he thinks he can put together a title run. Because after fighting Islam Mokaev, he's like, yeah, I'm not beating that dude ever. So 155 is a fool's errand. And now he, gets got by a guy who most people wrongly have ranked at, the top 10 spot instead of a top 5-7 guy like I do. So that alone is tough for him. And the way he got beat, like, I don't want to throw it out there too early, but I think there are at this point legitimate questions about whether his chin can hold up to the action that he is going to have to face. Because the biggest thing I noticed outside of the fact that he got rocked a lot by Arnold Allen, who has not historically been a big finisher, is he was glacially slow compared to Allen. Like, Allen looked like he was on 1.5x speed in there against Hooker. And so if his chin can't stand up to the shots, he's going to eat a lot of shots at featherweight because he's not going to be that fast with the division. So I don't know. If I'm him, I think he goes back to lightweight. That's where he by far had his most success. But he should just take some time off and develop for a little while. Calvin Kattar took a year off after getting dinged up by Max Holloway and came back, looked as good as he ever has. I think maybe you just take some time off if you're Dan Hooker, do some work, improve figure things out, reset, and then come back with fresh eyes, because tough scene.
I think Dan will end up staying at 145, and I think Dan Hooker fans are going to hate my on to the next one suggestion that he could find himself in. So stay tuned for that on that program when that drops. So other notable performances, we got to talk about Paddy Pimblett, because this card, even though he wasn't in the main event, even though it was in the co-main event, this is the Paddy Pimblett fight week. Stole the headlines, got into the skirmish with the man he calls hand sanitizer boy, with Ilya Topuria. He goes out there against Kazula Vargas, biggest favorite on the card, treats him accordingly, gets the finish, gets the big pop, has the post-fight promo. Dana White puts him over. I mean, this was to be expected in a lot of ways, but AK, did Paddy Pimblett exceed your expectations? Did he meet him, or did he not match him?
I mean, absolutely nailed the expectations. I first round submission, I think was one for Pimblett. I think was one of the easiest calls. I don't know if people got worried when, Vargas was like on top at first. I'm like, Vargas is an aggressive guy, but his ground game is not super strong, especially compared to Pimblett, who a lot of people saw Pimblett's first fight and weren't familiar with him and thought like, oh, this is another McGregor, is another stand-up guy. And it's like, no, he's a grappler. He's primarily a grappler. He does like to throw leather. He's got some natural power, but definitely his best bet is to go to the ground. So once it got, even when he was on his back, I'm like, this isn't going to go well for Vargas, and it certainly didn't. Pimblett ended up getting the submission. But yeah, look, he's the perfect kind of star that the UFC likes, the international star the UFC likes to have. Some people love him, some people hate him. Everybody's talking about him. I see a lot of comments on our website and on social media like, man, why does the media cover this guy so much? It's like, there is a legitimate it factor there. We don't create Paddy Pimblett. So you got to understand. I mean, we have some influence on what people see and read about. But Paddy Pimblett was one of those guys who, when he was in Cage Warriors, if you wrote a story about him, it would be on par with some of the mid-tier UFC guys. That's not normal. You guys know, that's not a normal thing. UFC, as you guys know, is like the biggest brand of all. UFC just by nature is going to be the 90% of the stories you read. So when someone like that registers on their own, you have to take notice. And what is it that makes him special? I don't know. Is it the look? Is it the bravado? He's been in some exciting fights, yes. Has he beaten good names? Yeah, but hasn't beaten like amazing names. Even in the UFC, the way they're handling him is, let me just say, the way the UFC is handling him, perfection. You are supposed to be, if you think someone has some sort of mass appeal, even if you can't quantify it, it is your goal as a promotion, which sometimes we forget because Dana White is not the greatest promoter in the world. It is your job, him and the matchmakers, everyone involved, to put him into positions to succeed. This is the definition of it. I mean, you could have put him in the co-main event. I'm glad they didn't. I think Arnold Allen and Hooker deserve that shine, but you could have done it. Nobody would have complained. And this is how you showcase a guy with his skills. I don't even think, I don't know how good he is. I don't have him ranked in my top 50 at lightweight. That's how, like, maybe I'm being disrespectful, but just kind of based on his level of competition and what I've seen, I think he's really good. But lightweight is super deep. I don't have him in the top 50. Some people might have him, I don't know, top 25. I don't know. And maybe you're not wrong, but it's that discussion that it creates. It's this range of opinions you can have. Like I said, he could be ranked anywhere from 25 to 50, depending who you're talking to. You can't say that about a lot of people. And then putting him in his home, in his home country, putting him in London, just brilliant. And again, love him or hate him, he's someone we are going to be talking about for a long, 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 long time. And UFC, just keep handling him the way you're handling him. Don't throw him into anything crazy. Definitely don't book him with Ilya Topuria.
What do you think, Jed? A+ for Paddy tonight, or not that high?
I mean, it's an A+ because he nailed the assignment. If we're grading on a curve, it's much lower because the assignment was fairly easy. But he did everything he was supposed to do, and everything AK said is right. Like, there's not honestly too much to say beyond it, except for y'all have heard from me a lot this week. I don't think Paddy's all that good. I think having him outside the top 50 is totally reasonable, but it doesn't matter if he's good or not. He is compelling. People are interested in him. And again, like AK said, we're not making a narrative here. Like, the media does not drive narratives. We follow the path to produce the content that you people want and are interested in a lot of ways. And Paddy Pimblett, for whatever reason, is that. I don't know why. I don't think you can ascribe anything to it. It's the it factor. It's what he has. So, he's not great, but keep doing what you're doing with him. And it's perfect. It's 100% exactly how you book him. This man should never fight outside of the UK again. There's no reason for the UFC to book him in a Vegas event, in Abu Dhabi, anywhere. Put him in the UK and don't feed him anybody worth their salt. Like, just keep giving him wins. Full on Michael Venom Page, this man, and ride this train until the wheels fall off. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's a great answer. Great point. I gave him like, I was in the B+ A- range with Paddy. it was a fine performance. He did what he had to do. It wasn't like a big shocker or anything like that. I actually dug the post-fight interview, and the fact that he completely no-sold Ilia Topuria and just shut that fight down, that brings it to an A+ for me, because this guy gets it. He's not dumb. He's a smart guy. That he knows that Ilia Topuria is a terrible fight for him. He will lose that fight, and he probably knows it. So good on him for having the wherewithal, because it could have been very easy to get on the mic and just rip Ilia Topuria apart for a fight that probably isn't going to happen. But he was just like, he just no-sold him. Like, this guy's shooting up. He's a sheep. I'm a lion. F that guy. Brilliant. Smart
He also said, I'm not fighting anyone in the top 15 until they pay me more money.
Correct.
That was so good. I'm like,
this
what?
man understands promotion.
Yeah. Sean O'Malley said a similar thing, and more fighters should go with that. Yeah. What does ranking mean to me? Losses hurt me. Losses to someone in the top 15 hurt me more than me just getting a fight in the top 15. Like, it doesn't help my bank account if I fight someone in the top 15 and lose. If you're going to pay me more and I lose, then that's fine. But let's talk about the pay first, and then I'll fight whoever you want. So
yeah, but Ilya's not a top 15 lightweight.
No, he just said in general. He said I don't want to fight Topuria, and I don't want to fight anyone in the top 15. He's like, both. Yeah. He's like, I don't care. It's like, he's like, keep feeding me guys. And I don't care.
And like we talked about before, he's not beating anybody in the top 15. So it's a great choice. He's great. He does everything correctly. All in on Paddy Pimblett being a promotional monster. Just not all in on him, actually being a good enough fighter to become the next Conor McGregor.
Yeah, he called out Mark of Zuckerberg instead, and that was smart on his part.
He can beat up Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, he'll win that fight.
I'll give him that one. Yeah,
I think he can take that one.
Gunnar Nelson, nice performance. Good to see you. I mean, honestly, that just goes to show you how good this card was, because Gunnar Nelson just rolled poor Takashi Sato and nothing for him. I mean, this was an absolute one-sided ass whooping. And that was like the worst thing that happened all night, when on any other card, he'd be a top storyline for after the long absence coming through and 30-26ing Takashi Sato across the board. Congratulations for him. Again, on to the next one. Many of you are not going to be, especially if you're a fan of Gunnar Nelson, you're going to hate the matchup that I have picked for Gunnar Nelson. So stay tuned for that. Molly McCann, front runner right now, leader in the clubhouse for knockout of the year. That spinning back elbow of Luana Carolina. What a crazy fight that was. She came out like a bat out of hell in the first round. Started to slow a little in the second. She won the second round. And in the third round, she just finished it in emphatic fashion.
You have her winning
Unbelievable. I had her winning the second. It's close, but I had her win in the second. I thought the momentum was shifting, though, for sure. Ilia Topuria right before that, the aforementioned Ilia Topuria, had the knockout of the year in 2022. Like Jose said, for about 30 minutes, probably less than that. Jai Herbert looked pretty damn good in that first round, but now, man, I don't know. They'll probably keep him around for another fight, but that's probably do or die for him at that point. Like, beating Kama Worthy, Kama, great guy, great fighter, but you could tell if you touch that chin, it's kind of done for him. So we'll see what happens with Jai. Makwan Amirkhani, you look at the best Tapology photo in the business, no doubt about it. It's him just sitting in the lounge with the women hanging off him, the mamacitas, if you will. And he just came in looking scraggly, had the neck beard and just looked like he didn't even take a shower all week. And maybe that's the guy we've been waiting for.
He looked like he looked like a dad. He looked like a dad, which is what he is now, and says it's changed him. He's a mature man now. He has other responsibilities.
A lot of
sleepless nights.
That's right. A lot of motivation. Of course, Mike Grundy shooting in for a takedown and putting his head in between.
Hey man, take my neck.
Put his right there.
Would you like to have this?
Probably not.
It's yours. It's a gift. Consider it a gift for you and your newborn baby.
Yeah, but probably not the best strategy. Welcome back, Sergey Pavlovich. Welcome back, Sergey Pavlovich. Nasty knockout. Paul Craig delivered the best Twitter Spaces moment we've had, because we had a gentleman who came on and said, I got a 5-fight parlay, including Paul Craig, who at the time we're watching this. Nikita Krylov is on top of Paul Craig, just lighting his world on fire, just landing these big shots. And the legs come up. Paul Craig gets the submission out of nowhere. And Chuck Mindenhall delivered the tweet of the night when he said, quote, Paul Craig is now 8-2 in fights that he has lost. So, or fights he was losing or lost or something like that. So, quote unquote, is wrong.
It was a great tweet.
Tremendous stuff. Tremendous with Paul Craig. So now the man who bet on the underdog in his 5-fighter parlay, he was very happy. And unfortunately, Mike Grundy, another underdog, cost him his 5-fight parlay.
You don't parlay underdogs, people. Take that underdog value and be happy when it hits.
Read Jed Meshu's, guys. Jed Meshu has a column every Friday. He has a guy in column.
It's a really big one this week too.
Yeah, MMAfighting.com, guys. I mean, you've only been doing it again for last like
this year, basically.
Yeah, like okay, but people, it's back. And you used to, I think you used to do it before. It's back. Follow Jed Meshu's gambling column. I don't encourage gambling, guys. I don't encourage gambling on MMA. But if you're going to, I'm just saying.
I encourage when you hit the long shot of the week, a plus 3,500 bet.
Wow.
Alan McCann, third round TKO, baby. Let's go.
By the way, the Grundy thing, this was Amir Khani's third anaconda choke in the UFC. And I'm looking at the 5th in his career. So when you guys say he really like gave him his neck, it's like
you gotta know. Believe it.
You gotta know.
Believe it.
That is his move.
Way possible.
That is it. That is the signature. That is like his sharpshooter. That like his signature finisher. Like
I mean,
would you like this? Let's see how this goes.
Sorry,
I mean, Mike fighting with a very heavy heart. So maybe that was in there. He gave his dad a hug, who's terminally ill, and he was there. So it was a very big moment for his family. So, yeah, I mean, tough transition from that. Jack Shore, Timur Valiev. Again, I tweeted this out, and I stand by it. If there's a person in the world who comes up to you and says, why do you watch that disgusting sport? You show them the Jack Shore, Timur Valiev fight, and you will make them believers, because that was a tremendous battle. It was good stuff. Jack Shore, the real deal, gets unanimous decision win.
Jed, can you crack your top 15?
No,
not yet. It's a very deep. It's one of the deepest divisions. It's so tough.
It's just impossible. Like
the best division in the sport.
It's not lightweight, but you know, it's either second or third.
Would you rank him above Sean O'Malley?
No, it's close.
You would pick Sean. So let me get this straight. If Sean O'Malley,
that's a good question. Yeah.
If Sean O'Malley and Jack Shore were fighting next week, and you're making your Tapology picks, you're picking Sean O'Malley to beat Jack Shore, because this is your thing. This is how you do it.
I think I am. I'd need to like go rewatch Sean O'Malley tape. Look, I'm not like the biggest Sean O'Malley guy. He has a lot of flaws.
He's good. He's good.
He is a legitimately predatory striker, and I am not, frankly, a huge Timur Valiev guy. Like, I think he's a good fighter. I think he was getting a little bit too much smoke coming into this one. And he had some real moments on the feet against Shore and with some real basic stuff. I think that fight's really close to a coin flip, because Sean O'Malley could light him up on the feet if he can get rolling there. But I could also see Shore not letting him get rolling. So that would be a great fight that will not happen, but great fight.
Someday, maybe. I'll ask I'm going to ask in a poll. I just threw up another poll for that, guys. Will Arnold Allen be booked to fight for a UFC title in the next 12 months? 60% no, probably because either they think he's going to lose to Calvin Kattar, or it's all going to get pushed back by what, Volkanovski and Holloway is trying to resolve their trilogy. Like, there's a lot that could push, like, even if Arnold Allen beats Kattar, that could push it back, like, so far. So that's probably why.
If Holloway beats
exactly.
Then we're doing like 6 of those fights, so that one just never gets to fight for the belt.
And what's interesting is if Jack Shore was fighting any other bantamweight, except maybe for Merab or maybe Piotr, if Jack Shore is fighting somebody besides Timur Valiev and the shots he was actually landing, he probably gets a bonus tonight because he probably finishes the fight. But Timur Valiev, I don't know what that man is made of.
Shouts to Timur Valiev, because that second one that dropped him, I don't understand. Like, that was a nasty shot. And then he got up and waved him on like an absolute monster. It's just like, whatever. Unbelievable effort from Team Value.
Jack Shore's got to be like, oh, thank God it's the third round after seeing that, because he's like, I can't do this anymore. The only flaw of the night was the fight that happened before that Jack Shore fight. Elise Reed defeats Corey McKenna via split decision,
which was fine. The decision was
fine.
Yes,
Elise
the winner
fight.
was fine. The winner was fine.
Elise Reed won that fight. But Derek Cleary, shame on you. You suck, dude. You suck. 30-27 McKenna. Were you taking a piss? What are you doing? That's really terrible. That's the worst scorecard of the year. Without question.
We've had some really bad. I feel like last week we had
30-27 McKenna. That's horrible.
Worth a really bad 30-27 in some fight too. That I can't remember. We should make this a category in the awards.
Derek Cleary and Sal D'Amato should fight, because the loser cannot judge anymore. I think that's the fight you make. That is a god awful scorecard.
It was bad.
Really terrible. But I do want to mention, I've seen the name pop up a few times. The man who kicked off the night's festivities, Muhammad Mokaev, took him less than a minute, absolutely destroys Cody Durden. I mean, this was a brutal flying knee or switch knee into just a sick, tight, nasty gilly, and Cody was donezo. I mean, less than a minute. This kid is 21 years old, Jen Mishu. 21 years old. And he's not even he's 8 years away from his prime. How scary is this? This is a bad dude.
He's a future champion. He's going to crack my top 15 pretty highly in this next round of rankings. Look, I had some questions coming in. He obviously had a ton of amateur experience. I was interested to see how he would essentially handle the big bright lights of what this card was going to be, 18,000 screaming fans in the O2 because everybody was going to be there from Jump Street, all of this and how he'd handle it. And Cody Durden is not like the world's greatest fighter, but he's a veteran dude. He's game and rolled through him like tissue paper, man. That one dusted him up like it was nothing. Smooth work. This dude is a problem. 21, assuming he gets better, which he will at least improve. But if he improves rapidly, like young men of that age who are committing themselves to this can do, dude is going to be an absolute monster. I'm staking it right now, future champion. And like I said, he's going to be just outside my top 10 at flyweight in this next round of rankings.
Great addition to a division that wasn't even around a few years ago, AK. They tried to take it away from everybody. It is now back. It's better than it's ever been. And now you have a future face of this division in Muhammad Mokaev. Just unbelievable. It was just unbelievable. This is the perfect fight to start the night off, because I don't know, the matchmakers get an A+ just for booking this card and putting it in the order that they put it in. But starting it off with this fight, they just knew something they knew something that a lot of people knew, but I don't think anyone expected him to go out there and just blast Cody Durden in under a minute like this.
Yeah, it's a perfect spot for it. Look, if Mokaev for some reason comes out and drops a stink bomb, then guess what? No one's talking about it tomorrow. It's just, it's the opening fight of the card. Durden grinds out a three round decision. It's whatever. Kid's 21 years old. Book him for another fight. Doesn't matter. But when you get what happened and he dominates Cody Durden and submits him in under a minute, then you suddenly got this great starter to what turned out again to be probably the best card of the year. What will go down as one of the best cards of the year, very likely in 9 months, unless we have a truly insane year, which is possible. But it was a great way for him to start. Like you said, Mike, this is how you book a card properly. You build up. You have prospects at the bottom, then you've got some competitive fights in the middle. Craig Krylov probably could have been a little bit higher, but when you look at the main card, you really can't argue. Maybe Gunnar Nelson, Sato, but they kind of, that was sort of a welcome back Gunnar Nelson. He's a known property, he's a veteran, so almost respectfully putting him on there. Other than that, I don't know what fights you would have taken off the main card. So Craig and Krylov is really just a victim of the numbers game. But we barely talked about Sergey Pavlovich, who looks like he's a contender at heavyweight. My goodness, the guy's a beast. His only loss to friggin' Overeem in his UFC debut. He came in. No one expected him to win that fight. Holy crap, what a great night. And Mokaev, 21 years old. Again, a ton of actual fighting experience when you count his amateur. He's something on like a 30 fight win streak if you count his amateur fights. So, you know, I know whatever, amateur, but winning fights in any circumstance is difficult. And if you're winning 30 in a row, boy, you're doing something right. And I kind of agree with Jed. Like, it's a good thing he's probably like 4 or 5 fights away from a title shot, because the guys at the top right now are, you know, Figueiredo, Moreno, whoever. You're kind of just counting the days until this kid comes for you, because by the end of 2023, he's definitely going to be saying, hey, I'm about ready for. Maybe we're hyping it up too much, but if he continues along this arc, he just looks really composed and really talented. He does seem to have the right infrastructure behind him and around him. Maybe some questionable characters. You guys can check Kareem Zidane's Twitter feed to see Mokaev, maybe not associated with the best people, unfortunately. But if we're just talking strictly in cage, in gym, you know, his talent level, it's undeniable. And even some good mic skills too, kind of sticking it to Cody Durden for the, you know, telling Ayuri Keeling over to China. He said, hey, go to the U.S. embassy and they'll fly you right back to the United States. So hey, he was prepared. Give him that. 21 years old, so much poise. It's really scary. You wouldn't know he's only had the 7 pro fights, and he's only 21 years old. Used to debut. He looked, it was a hell of a debut.
One of those guys with just super long, super loaded up amateur careers. Kind of like when Shorty Torres turned pro, there was a very similar sort of vibe, because Shorty was like 30-1 as an amateur and won a bunch of world championships, and I think in the same weight class as well. And now we got Muhammad coming up and did something similar. And this guy is just an absolute fireworks display for sure. So, and again, if you missed it, 2 things. 1, everyone who got a finish got a bonus. So congratulations to everybody. Hopefully this is not a unicorn. This is something that happens consistently. And 2, because I keep seeing the questions and some of you are just jumping on right now. Where's Casey? Where's Casey? Where's Casey? Casey hasn't fought yet. I don't know when he's fighting. He's the 6th fight of the card. I just went to the Celtic Gladiator Instagram page and it looked like their card like just started.
Yeah.
Like it just began.
Yep.
So, and these amateur fights, like if you've been to amateur MMA cards, 6 fights, it could happen in 10 minutes from now. Like that fight could happen 10 minutes from now, because it just depends. But I don't know if all the fights are the same, but Casey's fights 3 2-minute rounds. So it could happen in an hour, could happen in an hour and a half, could happen in 30 minutes, but we will let you know. I promise.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned to our social medias again. Yeah, this happens after we jump off. We're all going to be tweeting about it. You will not be able to miss it if you're on Twitter, social media. Trust me, you will not be able to miss it. And I just want to say there was an update on Luana Carolina. I don't think you read the update yet, right?
No.
From our pal Nolan King. He said she's doing well. I spoke to her manager. She's at the hospital awaiting CT scan results for full clearance, but cognitive, motor, physical abilities all normal. So yeah, that was extremely scary, the way she was just down in the cage, and hopefully, fingers crossed, she's doing okay, about as okay as you can be anyway after taking a knockout like that. So
all right, so if you got questions about the card, now's the time. Okay, I'm not Casey, so I'll do the best I can.
I just want to throw a quick shouts. We breezed past it. Was Gunnar's first win since 2018.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about a lot, sometimes you just need to get on base. That's what this fight was. He just got on base, didn't show anything new, but got the ball rolling again. So good for you, Gunnar, even if you are the most forgettable thing that happened this entire day.
All right, first question from the peeps. Bigger upside, Umar Nurmagomedov or Muhammad Mokaev? Jed.
I'll give him Mokaev. I mean, at this point, I'm just sort of all in on the Mokaev thing. Umar's big advantage, as far as I am concerned at this point, is the name Nurmagomedov, which is a very helpful thing to have. And I don't know, maybe he'll be a better fighter, but he's 26, whereas Mokaev, again, is 21. I think at this point, there's a real chance Mokaev becomes the youngest champion in UFC history, taking that title from technically John Jones, but actually Jose Aldo. And like that's in play, because honestly, the flyweight division is actually pretty open right now. Like you've got Figueiredo and Moreno at the top doing their quadrilogy, however many times they're going to end up fighting. But the rest of it, it's not like anybody is really shown like that guy. It would not blow me away if Mokaev next year could beat anybody in that division. So I think he just has a path to getting a championship and potentially holding that championship for a while. Whereas again, Nurmagomedov, he's fighting in a much tougher division, frankly. And so he's just got a harder road to hoe. He's already 26. He's really good. I think he probably will fight for a title at some point, but give me the younger guy in the easier division as far as upside goes.
Do you agree with that, AK?
Man, he is that is all in. That is all in.
He did it. He sold me.
I like to be on the ground floor. Unlike most debutantes, again, there's all that experience. He fought for Brave. We're talking pro. He fought for Brave. Brave's a pretty tough organization to go through, and he was excelled there as well. I'm obviously I'll lean towards Umar. I think I just because I've seen more. Yeah, he's older, but I've just seen more of his
26.
He's a geezer. But no, I've just seen more of him, and sort of his all around ability, and yeah, I don't have a strong feel for it. Don't get me wrong. It's just because I've seen more. I'm not quite ready to jump into Mokaev yet. I do think he did beat a tough guy in Durden. Like, as much as I dislike Durden's like personality, I think he has actually a pretty decent test for a 21-year-old. So for him to beat him in under a minute is super, super impressive. But yeah, again, this is just a amount of data thing. So for me, Umar, but boy, both guys probably have. It would. I'd be surprised if we didn't see both guys fight for a UFC title at some point.
So, Mike, we've got the stodgy conservative pick of data and numbers and proven performance, and me all in on the young fun guy.
You're a feel guy. You're a feel guy.
I don't feel. I'm about manalytics, not analytics.
Okay? Did you make that up? Don't tell me you made that up. Don't claim that.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, God. I think Mokaev is the correct answer. I think he's the total package. I think he's got it all. He can speak. He can fire up a crowd. He's exciting to watch. Like, he's got it all. And Nurmagomedov might be the better overall fighter right now, but you could put you could strap the rockets to Muhammad Mokaev right now, and
to the moon.
It's all good. To the moon, baby. To the moon. Roy, the commentary team is missing John Anik today. Now, let me address this, okay? First of all, John Anik, you know how highly I rate John Anik. I think he's not only the best in MMA, the best in combat, maybe the best in combat sports right now. He's one of the best in all of sports right now. I think he's that good. Having said that, John Gooden is tremendous. I thought he was excellent tonight. Excellent. And he's got to be like, John Gooden has to be the guy on these cards. In fact, I want to see John Gooden more on these broadcasts. That's how good I think he is.
Dude,
so just
I agree.
Want to say that.
I'm a fan. Yeah.
Everything you said. Also, you're categorically insane. If you have one, who we missed was Dan Hardy. Like, I'm sorry. I know that he fell out, but Hardy and Gooden had great chemistry, and no disrespect to Paul Felder, who I think is pretty good in the booth. One of the better ones that they've found, honestly. But, like, give me 3 British dudes talking about fights in London when it's the first fight in 3 years. Like, that's just what I don't want. I love John Anik. John Anik should not be the dude doing play-by-play for a UFC London card. That's insane to me. And I agree. I think Gooden should get more run, but for certain, this was all Gooden, and he did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, get Gooden on, if you can't put him in the play-by-play spot, put him on the desk, do something with him, utilize his talents more, because he's very good at what he does. I know the UFC is using a little bit more, doing some different European stuff, but use that man as much as possible, because he's really good at his job. Maybe the most underrated guy in that position. Zeuslik, does Paul Craig deserve more respect in the light heavyweight division? AK.
Yeah, probably. So I have him. I think I had him behind Krylov, literally one spot behind. So obviously he takes his spot. I also had him jump over Thiago Santos. I still had him behind Santos. So yeah, for anyone who had him already ahead of those guys, I probably was being a little disrespectful. And by the Jetology, if you had put Paul Craig and Thiago Santos together, I probably would have picked Paul Craig to win. So he probably should have already been ahead of him. So that's top 10. I mean, that's top 10 in the UFC. In the global rankings would probably be just outside, because you'd have Nemkov in there, you'd have Corey Anderson, maybe Ryan Bader. I don't know, but just in the UFC rankings, which for me includes the champion, I have him 9th. So I don't know if he'll be disrespected anymore after this. Maybe it's the whole kind of bit we mentioned before, where it's just like, because he doesn't dominate his fight, like, sometimes seeing a dominant like 3-round decision tells us a lot more about a fighter than scoring these kind of come from behind submissions or a lot of submissions off your back. But I mean, look, he's 6-fight unbeaten streak. That's including the Mauricio, the Shogun Hua draw, split draw. 4 wins in a row since then, all finishes. He does need a little more respect, and he just kind of like we were saying with Arnold Allen now, he doesn't have the problem with signature finishes. He's got a ton of those. His highlight reel is insane. Now he needs to show he can kind of get that signature win. Anthony Smith call out made a lot of sense. A guy who's fought for the title before, he beats him. I mean, that puts him one away and puts him probably on the short list for a title shot if someone else drops out. So yeah, he does need a little more respect. I do think he's been disrespected for sure.
Jed, you have a look in your eye that says, I love you, AK, but I don't agree with anything you're saying.
I don't know. I agree honestly in principle with everything AK's saying, but I just don't know that it's hard for me to give Paul Craig more respect. It's one of those things where I'm probably wrong here, and I'm hand up. I'm going to be wrong here, but I'm going to die on this hill. I gain less respect for Paul Craig. I just lose more respect for the rest of the light heavyweight. And that's harsh, and that means I'm wrong, and I understand that I'm wrong, and I started this off by saying I was going to be wrong. But like, Nikita Krylov decided, not dissimilar to Mike Grundy, if we're going to be honest, he fought in the way that most gave Paul Craig an opportunity to win. He immediately hit him in the face, hurt him, and then went to the ground with him and stayed there until such time as he got tapped. Whereas he could have just been like, nah, dude, and stood up and kept beating him in the head until Paul Craig fell over and didn't get up. It's just one of those things where, like, you have to respect what he has done, the accomplishments. You cannot take the wins away from him because he's done it. But it is hard, like, if he refought Krylov tomorrow, I would probably pick Paul Craig because I think Krylov's just going to be stupid again because that's kind of baked into the pie with him. He like really wants to grapple now, even though he's like only okay at it, and honestly not great because Jan Blachowicz was sweep tapping him. So you're not like the world's greatest if Jan's hitting a butterfly sweep on you, dude. But like, I don't know if he refought Jamal Hill. Again, that fight, Jamal Hill probably could have won easily, but did a real dumb thing. And I just don't like, it's hard for me to give him full credit when part of why he is succeeding is the direct bad decision-making of people he's faced. And that's wrong. Like that is obviously a personal failing from me, but it's just hard. Like I've got him ranked. I think I had him ranked at 14. I had him one spot behind Krylov because I thought Krylov would beat him. They're going to swap now, but like, I'm not going to put him above Anthony Smith, who I think would beat him. Maybe we'll get that fight. Seems like that's where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Thiago Santos, maybe he could beat Thiago Santos. But like Phil Davis, I'm not putting him ahead against any of the other guys. So it's harsh. I'm not sure that I need to give it more respect. I respect what he has accomplished. I just still don't think his game is replicably good, if that makes sense.
I will say, I don't know if I've ever seen a triangle be so cleanly thrown on so quickly. Right? It was like, it's like you said, he's literally crouching down sort of into Craig's guard, like potentially into Craig's, because he's trying to posture up, do some ground and pound, do some other stuff. But like he's hanging there for so long.
He just left it.
And Craig has amazing. This isn't saying like taking him. Craig has amazing jiu-jitsu, but man, he threw those legs right up and locked in. And I can't remember last time I saw that. Like it was so instant.
Locked in and turned the position to look in the ear,
it
like
was
instantaneously. And yeah, full credit to Craig because he was half conscious when he did it. But like at the same time, I honestly don't know what was going on in Krylov's head. He was like, I'm just gonna hang here for a minute and let's see what's good. Like it baffles me how he's able to pull it off. But at some point in time, like Paul Craig, I feel very much like Brian Ortega, for being honest. Like it shouldn't work. And I look at it and say, this should not work. And it keeps working. So obviously I'm the moron, but I can't unsee the things I know, which is that should not work, even though it continues to succeed.
Do you think Ilya planned that run-in with Paddy? Cameras were already like they wanted to go viral. Didn't seem like a genuine run-in.
For
Oh
sure.
yeah, 100%.
They've been beefing for a while. He was trying to find Paddy to beef with Paddy.
Yeah. Were you guys thinking in that first round, like when Jai hurt him real bad, maybe you shouldn't have had all the Paddy talk? I mean, because that would have been a bad loss. I mean, that would have been a really bad loss.
No, I don't think I do the talk. I think Jai Herbert is actually like I think Topuria needs to. I hope he goes back down to 145. I know it's a tough weight cut, but like he's not a super big. You could see, and Jai Herbert has like a ton. Is a kind of a big rangier lightweight. He's going to be at a reach disadvantage in a lot of his fights. Now, I mean, he throws bombs, fortunately, and he has, once he gets you up against the fence, you're dead. But, you know, I think, and Jai Herbert did well in the first round. So it's not like, oh, well, Jai Herbert had a bad game plan. It's like, no, he did well. And then Topuria is really tough and fought through it and got, you know, took the fight where he wanted to eventually. But this is going to be tough for him at 155. So, yeah, I don't know about him. Like that worries me. This question on the screen: will UFC keep Paddy Pimblett away from Topuria? God, I hope so. So Ilya said afterwards, he's like, he himself said, Dana White's gonna have
1,000 feet of separation from
Dana White's gonna have to hold a gun to Paddy Pimblett to force him into the octagon with me. And I'm like, that's pretty accurate.
It's ridiculously not accurate. You're gonna have to hold a gun on Dana to make him book.
To make him hold a gun.
That's the exact thing.
To slaughter my cash cow on the altar of good prospect. I'm trying to milk the Paddy Pimblett money for all I can.
Does Molly break the top 15? I don't know, Jay Tevo, if you mean like right now or ever. Not a stacked division by any means. So can you see Molly in the top 15, Jed? Is she someone that you rank to that level or has that kind of potential to you?
About to pull up. I mean, I might throw her a shot just like 15 right now. Mainly just because that KO is so awesome. And like the bottom of that division does not inspire a lot of feelings from me, from my rankings. Like there's, you know, it's like the end of my rankings, Macy Barber, Alima McFarland, Joanne Wood. Like I think all those women would probably beat Molly McCann in a fight, but I'm also not like geared up on these are obviously 15 of the best flyweight women in the world. It's just like somebody's got to fill in the latter end of the rankings for me. So I could see her throwing it. No is the like long-term answer to her being like a long-term top flyweight. Look, she and Paddy are like very similar in that they are beloved. They seem like they're really fun hangs and people are super into what they're bringing. They got a great vibe. They have very serious limitations as fighters that are going to hold them back from maybe they won't hold them back from being stars because Barstool Sports is signing them both and giving them a ton of money. But it's going to hold them back from being Conor McGregor-esque. You know, they just aren't good enough as fighters to do that. But it doesn't mean they can't put on fun fights and, you know, do some stuff. I don't know if Molly McCann has I'm sure she has some interest in pursuing a title, but I don't know if she would just be comfortable having fun fights against people she can beat in England because that's what you should do with both of them. Put both of them in England, every fight card together. They should always be because for me, unquestionably, everything else that happened was dope. The end of the Paddy fight when Molly hopped in the cage and it's them just getting everybody going and both of them jumping up onto the fence. Like that is the iconic moment. There's a couple images of the two of them in the cage celebrating together. That's the thing I'm going to remember about this event months from now, even on top of all the other dope stuff that happened. Have those two fight together every card and they only fight in England. If you're doing anything else, that is promotional malpractice, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't put her in the top 15 either. She's the victim of some MMA math that's not in her favor and just some odd losses. Jillian Robertson, that was a while ago. So if you want to ignore that, that's fine. Lara Procopio, that was just last year. Lara Procopio isn't even in the UFC anymore. Tala Santos, that's fine. Tala Santos obviously is like a top 5 in her division, so that's not terrible. But yeah, she just doesn't really have super great. Luana Carolina, I would have ranked below Molly McCann anyway, so it's not like she can take her spot. So yeah, she needs to string together she needs to either put together a really impressive win streak. I think she's earned herself a top 15 opponent. So if people want to count that as her being ranked top 15, that's fine. That's not. I don't think she's top 15 yet. But yeah, I have no problem with them trying to throwing her in there with somewhere in the top 15 now, and seeing how that goes. Like Jed says, she has a certain style, which is super entertaining, great, really fun to watch, but probably does put a cap on her actual championship aspirations. And if she cares about that, that's unfortunate. It doesn't seem like she does, at least not at the moment. We'll see if she strings together another couple of wins against opponent. If they don't give her top 15, maybe she strings together more wins against, people in her range. Then we start talking about, 4 straight wins. Maybe she's a title contender and all that. But it's way too early. And I wouldn't have her in the top 15 right now.
Molly McCann to me is like Nico Price. It's like a Nico Price type fighter at 125. And there's nothing wrong with that, because when Nico Price is on a card, you see his face on a poster against anybody. You're like, sweet.
Banger.
Nico Price is fighting. This is going to be a fun fight. I feel like that's kind of where Molly is. And she can win a lot of them. Nico won some crazy ass fights against some really good fighters. I feel like Molly, in some really crazy ways, I feel like Molly could be something like that, like make a very good living, be a popular fighter. I don't think she's going to be fighting for titles anytime soon, but that's okay. That's fine. Maybe that's not her, and that's good. That's okay. But she could be very successful in this business without fighting for titles or being a top 15 fighter. Very successful.
It doesn't, when you're a star, it doesn't matter who you're like. You don't have to be on a title track. You can just fight people that people will watch because you're going to do a fun thing and people like you. Like, just have her fight anybody in England and people are going to tune in and turn up. It's going to be dope.
Yeah. Listen,
nobody knows who that poor dead woman is until today. And they're never going to know forever because Molly McCann won, and that's all that mattered. You just do that forever, and you should, because it's awesome. I had a great time watching her fight.
Listen, we should have the same principle with Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is only 32 years old. He has a ton of mileage on him. I will say, I saw a lot of comments earlier asking like, is he diminished or is he on the way down? I'm like, I mean, in fairness, yeah, he probably is. He's been some crazy ass, Dustin Poirier, Paul Felder, the Barbosa beatdown was like one of the scariest like beatdowns I've seen. That was horrible to watch. So he has a ton of mileage. So he's 32 years old, but probably about like 50 in fight years. But he's the kind of guy stop putting him against up and coming contenders. One, he's such an entertaining fighter. Let's get him back in fun. Don't put him in there with Islam Makachevs. And I mean, Arnold Allen was kind of a good matchup, but also he obviously is a young, hungry guy who's on his way towards a title. That's not how I would describe Dan Hooker right now. You wait till they can get cards again in New Zealand or Australia again. You put on one of those, give him a stand-up battle. There's a lot of good fights ahead for Dan Hooker. He fought his way into the elite. I understand. And it's like, oh, well, we got to match up with just the elite. But now I think he's fought his way out of the elite, to put it nicely. And so guys like him and women like Molly McCann, again, it doesn't have to be about titles. It doesn't have to be rising to the ranks. And if you happen to win enough fights to get there, great. But if you don't, just give us fun fights. Who cares?
Okay. I think we're good, right?
Well, there is one more poll that I threw up, which I'd like people to, if you haven't, this is the most important poll.
What's the poll?
Do you guys not watch the YouTube stream while come on. I'm watching the YouTube. Oh, you got to have the YouTube stream on. I know. I mean, we have the comments on our thing, but still. This is the most important poll. How does EKC Lydon win tonight? All right, guys. So people, please get your votes in the last minute here. All right. Don't all rush in at once. Right now, leading Peruvian necktie, 28%. Rolling thunder kick, close behind, 27%. And then flying triangle choke, 24%. Showtime Superman punch. Showtime. You can see, Jed, you like flying triangle. Showtime Superman punch, just behind, 22%. But pretty evenly split. I think people are expecting a spectacular finish. And that's great.
He's not going to throw a rolling thunder or a Superman punch. Like he's a fundamental guy. He's nuts and bolts. He's not going to do that.
When you're in there, it just shuts. Instincts kick in.
No, I just don't think so.
Think about how much he's been filming. All the fights I guess he doesn't really film the actual fights, but he has his brain is like a camera. He's internalized his techniques, Jed.
A lot of technique,
and he doesn't even know he knows them until he's just going to throw one out tonight. I
hope you're right. I hope he does a spinning wheel kick KO, because that would be savage. And we could lead missed fist with him. That would be
that's
I'm waiting for us to lead missed fist with him. I just want to say before we click out of here, I think it's telling and interesting that we didn't spend all that much time talking about Tom Aspinall on this card. It was, we did some main event, but this was a collection of people, not hey, Tom Aspinall's the next dude, even if he might be the next dude.
This perfect card.
This is a card we'll be talking about like 2 years from now. We'll be like, man, can you believe Mokaev, Jack Shore, Sergey Pavlovich, and Tom and Aspinall, whoever were all on the same card, and
Dude,
like 3 of them. Like this is one
Arnold
of
Allen. What are you throwing shade at my boy?
No, he's already but he's already established. Like he's already in the co-main, right? This is like one where like these guys will all be UFC champions, or they'll be top 5 ranked. All of them be like, wow, they were all on the same card. Like that's crazy. And like 3 of them were on the prelims. Like holy crap, So we will look back on this one for sure.
Yeah, man, Topuria.
All right, so
yeah, Topuria, Jesus.
AK and I, we have more content to record.
What?
Very soon. Very soon.
What?
We're getting out of here. From all accounts, Casey is like 4 fights away from fighting. So,
can't wait.
Celtic Gladiator promotional Instagram.
Mark Raimondi is also streaming it, he said. So,
and Raimondi is streaming it as well. So, there you go. So, like those pages, get ready, turn those notifications on.
Good time.
And when one of them goes live, that probably means Casey's fighting. So, best of luck once again for Casey. We're gonna try to distract ourselves, AK. We're gonna record on to the next one in a matter of seconds.
A song like Paddy the Batty has? Because I'm not gonna lie, the Paddy the Batty chant is awesome.
What do they do? They use what do they use again?
Oh, Paddy.
Oh, so good.
That was dope. Like that place is rocking with that.
Yes, as Scott McCrae is saying, this is literally the last call. If you don't get your Ono suggestions in the next 2 minutes, they're not going to be read on the show.
By the way, congrats, Scott. He was 1 fight away from a perfect card. I think he picked Hooker. I think that was his one mistake. So, Scott, congrats to you, my friend. I know you were.
Really?
I think someone else had a 12-1 pick.
Did you go 12-1?
Oh, you got off to
2.
He did really well, and you got off to a hell of a start.
Like several perfects.
This card was just so predictable. What can we say? But no, Mike did great. Mike, Scott McCrae, you guys are great.
If I had the stones to put Paul Craig, I bet on Paul Craig, but I didn't pick him in our picks competition. If I had the stones, I'd have been really good night.
What was the other miss? You picked.
Everyone. I am convinced nobody picked Makwan Amirkhani to win.
Oh yeah.
That cost you the perfect.
Definitely.
But all right, we're out of here. For Jed, for AK, I am Mike Heck. Good night, everybody. Go Casey. We love you, buddy.
Love you guys. And you, Casey.
By the way, Instagram, Celtic Gladiator, CELTIC _ Gladiator. Good night, everybody.